Good morning, good morning. This is Pierre Laguerre here, your daily motivator. If there's any episode that I want you to pay attention to, it's today's episode. And the reason is because I'm going to talk about 3 ways to simplify and improve your health. And of course, this is a big issue at large because, as you know, there are whole industries dedicated to disease and sickness. So let me back up right away and give you the disclaimer. I'm not here to sell you anything, neither to tell you I've got the secret to cure you. However, after you listen to this episode, I'm sure you're going to find enough information that you will actually decide to take the road to recovering your health and thereby curing yourself. So let me start with with an important sentence. Hippocrates said this: "Let food be thy medicine." And of course, we are living in a generation where pills are the medicine. And doctors are left and right recommending surgery to prevent people from dying, because usually people are showing up at the last minute when things are really at their worst. And why is there such an epidemic of sickness and disease, especially in the American society, and it's spreading across the world because they're eating the same sad diet, the standard American diet? So I know I've gone to meddling when I mentioned the standard American diet, but let me explain myself first of all by giving you some stats. Number one, and before I go into these stats, I'm not here to make you afraid, but rather to just state what's going on so that you can be well aware and decide to do something about it. You see, one thing that's important is that we must know the truth. And once we know it, now we must face it. We've got to take proper action. So let me also preface it by saying an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So here are some of the stats. 145,000 men and women in the United States are coming up with colorectal cancer. And of that, 101,000 of them are coming up with colon cancer and 44,000 of them with rectal cancer this year. Now, these are the stats as I gathered them online. You can do your own research and find it for yourself, but the data is there. 175,000 men will come up with prostate cancer in 2019, according to the different agencies out there that monitor this information. And 60% of them will be found over the age of 65. Let's keep going. 271,000 men and women will come up with breast cancer this year. Of course, the majority of them, about 268,000 of them, are women, and under 3,000 of them are men. These are astronomical figures. 300,000 hip replacements are happening in the United States this year. That's a yearly number. Again, hip replacements, people fracture their hips, and for me, I thought milk does a body good. It was supposed to prevent hip fractures and osteoporosis, but these issues obviously are still happening. And that's a huge number that's reported. And here's a bigger number: 600,000 men and women will have their knees replaced this year. That is just crazy. But the most astronomical number of all is 720,000 new heart attacks this year, of which 335,000 are recurring heart attacks. So there, I've laid it out for you so that you have the information in front of you. You can go and you can Google this information very simply and find it from major agencies that monitor this information. You could even go to places like ecology.com to get even more info. But I'm not here to scare you. Again, as I said, I'm here to give you 3 different areas where you need to simplify your health. 3 things you can do right now to prevent yourself from becoming a statistic. There was a time when these numbers were not so astronomical, especially because people were consuming a different diet. And I know that's a dirty word there. That's a 4-letter word, diet. But diet has to turn to something where we focus on lifestyle. People are, there's 80% plus of the American society that are obese. And of course, I live here in Puerto Rico, and I see it even in the kids and the adults here as well. Obesity is a wide spread problem. So what exactly do I have for you today that's going to help you be up and up after you listen to this episode? It's really what I call the 66-4-30. No, remember these numbers, 66-4-30. And let me break it down for you. You spend 70% of your day up and 30% sleeping. So the 70% of your day that you're up, I'm splitting this into 66-4 for you to tell you 66% of the time you should be, of course, dealing with your daily life, your work, your business, whatever is important to you. And then 4% of that you should dedicate to some form of exercise. But the 66-4-30, the 66 number is dedicated to what are you eating? Because you understand before you even get to exercise, your diet, what you eat on a regular basis, what you ingest is having a much greater impact on this body that you are housed in, this home that you walk about in, than anything else. And I know somebody right now is saying, well, what about my genes? What about my genes? Let me give you a quick breakdown from what the doctors have shared on this. 1 to 2% of sickness and disease come from genes. And even those can be reversed by diet, believe it or not. But even with that 1 to 2% chance, that means you have 98% of the time that you can impact your health, whether it's for weight loss, whatever the issues are. You can remove the toxins from your body through diet and exercise. And I know the American people have heard this so often, but let's go to the food part, because what exactly is causing all these issues in our health? And I feel like, right now this should be a 2-part podcast, and I probably will do that, make this one part 1 as I'm speaking right now, because I have so much data in front of me and so much I want to share with you, because your health is your wealth. You see, if you take care of your health, you'll be able to do everything else. You'll be able to get up every day and help your family, do what you need to do, go to work and everything else. For example, right now myself, living as a single dad with my children, my wife being in heaven, with 3 children that are homeschooled, I can tell you one important thing. My health is important. I do not get sick. We do not get sick. We never got sick prior. Even when we lived in Jersey, I can remember once my son having a fever when he was very small, but you know what? That was it. Sniffles and all these things, we don't carry those things around with us. The reason is because of what we eat, the lifestyle that we live, in eating a diet of, full of vegetables, full of greens, full of beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, seeds, nuts. Those are the things we focus on. And of course, when you go to the page of this particular podcast here, this is podcast 508, I believe, and I will make sure you can get to the page. The key thing I want to tell you is this. When you go to that page, you will see more information that I'll share with you, because I believe this is so important. You need to have the information at your fingertips. So you can go to eonthemove.com/podcast 508 to get more of the information. There are more links that I put on that page for you in terms of diet and some of the nutritionists that I follow, and how this is helping me and my children to stay healthy. And this is important because nobody cares about their health until they're sick. That's when you recognize the value of your health. But for me, on a daily basis, I'm reminded why I'm not eating much sugar, why I'm not focusing on much salt, why I'm not putting much meat in my body, and rather focusing on what Dr. Furman, one of the doctors that I love to refer to, refers to as the G-bombs. No, it's not something to destroy the Middle East. It's something that gives life. The G-bombs are nothing else but the greens, the beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds and nuts. So if you're eating a diet predominantly of whole grain, and you put in you a diet of greens, and you can have rice, potatoes, and those things, and of course lots of fruits. But at the end of the day, what's going to make a huge difference is these G-bombs that you're putting in your body. So there, I've dropped the bomb. It's the G-bomb. So that's one thing. And when you go into the page, eonthemove.com/podcast 508, you will find some links there. And again, like I told you, like I told you rather, I don't have anything to sell. All I'm here to do is give you the information. It's up to you to go find out the truth for yourself, be convinced on your own, and make the right decision. So 66-4-30, let's get back to that. 66% of the time you spend, people are eating 3 square meals a day. Predominant part of your day, what do you find yourself doing? Working or eating? Now, again, we come together and we love to come together around food. So 3 times in the day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you should be eating. But let me also point out, and maybe these are things that I'll put in episode 509 when I go to part 2 of this series, because again, it's turned into a mini series here. I want to give you the information, and I'm already 10 minutes past my time, so I'm going to return your time to you shortly here. But to tell you, 66-4-30, and in the next episode, I'll talk more about this 66-4-30. You got to spend the time eating the right things, drinking lots of water, of course, but putting those G-bombs, as I talked about, in your body, to eat right, eat correctly, and really to prevent disease and sickness. And then, of course, you've got to put some time in exercising. Now, I'm not telling you got to spend an hour every day at the gym, but this 4% of your time should be spent really putting yourself in a place where you can walk, where you can jog, where you can do yoga. If you love basketball like I do, you could do that. Or if you love swimming like I do, you could do that. You could even do bodybuilding. You can tone your skin, strengthen your muscles, and certainly your bones in the process. But understand what's important here. What you're putting in your body will have an impact on your overall health. And in the exercise is nothing more than to maintain. Don't exercise just to lose weight, because a lot of people focus on weight loss. When in reality, what you need to focus on is becoming healthy and walking healthy. The weight will take care of itself when you start eating correctly. And then, of course, the 30 is really about your sleep. Are you getting enough rest, or are you up into the wee hours trying to put work in for the next day? Now remember, a famous man once said, "Leave for tomorrow the evil of tomorrow." His name was Jesus, by the way. He knew what he was talking about, because what he was saying was, go to sleep when it's time to sleep. Go get some rest. And of course, find one day in the week when you're not working at all. You could make it Saturday, you could make it Sunday. I don't care. The point I'm making to you is this. You need to find time to rest. If you have a job that's causing you to be a slave and you don't have any time to yourself, you need to quit that job, or you need to change positions. My point is, your rest is so important, you need to take it. Otherwise, you will suffer from stress, and that brings on sickness and disease as well. So do not take on the stress. And finally, the 66-4-30, it's basically a formula that I'm applying to my life and to my children's life. And of course, anybody that comes close, I will share it with you. I will tell you about my passion for eating the right foods, for drinking lots of filtered water. I'm going to share with you my passion about vegetables, greens, smoothies, all these things. And it's contagious, by the way. So if you get close, you're going to catch it. But it's going to be for your good. And as you start doing your own research, you're going to find out that people have actually created documentaries out there talking about this. There are so many of them on Netflix. There are so many of them on YouTube that you can find. And on the page, eonthemove.com/podcast 508, I give you a link to 2 major ones plus Dr. Furman's website, so that you can actually start finding that information for yourself. Because like you, I do not want to end up in those hundreds of thousands of folks that every year are coming up with some form of cancer, some form of joint replacement, or worse yet, having a heart attack. And just as an aside, most people think that, firefighters died in the line of duty because a fire got to them. No, 50% of the firefighters that actually die in the line of duty die because of a heart attack. So we know that heart attack is the biggest killer. But the silent killer in all this is your diet, lack of exercise, and not resting enough, taking on way too much stress. So that's all I had for you for today. Thank you for staying this long. Tomorrow, I'm going to go a little deeper into 66-4-30 to give you more on these 3 ways to impact your health. Again, it's Pierre Laguerre. Give me some feedback. Again, like I told you, I will not be politically correct, nor will I put myself to that, because I want to share with you truth that can change your life. I'll catch you on the next episode. Have a great day.